Hey, it's Mr. Shrum, and last time we looked at the function of the nervous system and the central nervous system. Now we're going to look at the functions of the peripheral nervous system. The PNS sends and receives impulses to and from the CNS. And there are three types of nerves within the peripheral nervous system, or the PNS. And we have sensory nerves, motor nerves, and mixed nerves. Sensory or afferent, A for afferent nerves, are made of fibers that carry impulses toward the CNS. Sensory nerves contain only long dendrites of sensory neurons. Motor or efferent, E for efferent, nerves are composed of fibers that carry impulses away from the CNS. Motor nerves contain only long axons of motor neurons. So think of the sensory nerves as sensing stimuli from outside of the CNS, and it brings impulses towards the CNS, while motor neurons are coming away from the CNS, and they are kind of telling what the other parts of your body should be doing, okay? Sensory nerves are sensing things from other parts of your body, and they send it to your CNS for feedback, and then motor nerves are sending information to your other parts of your body to move accordingly. Mixed nerves have both afferent and efferent fibers incorporated into them, and they can send impulses to the CNS or to the body, right? Mixed nerves contain both long dendrites of sensory neurons and long axons of motor neurons. The peripheral nervous system includes the cranial nerves and the spinal nerves. Cranial nerves originate from the brain. Spinal nerves originate from the spinal cord accordingly. There are 12 pairs of cranial nerves that leave the brain. Some are sensory, some are motor, others are mixed. All cranial nerves, except for the vagus nerve, are concerned with the head, neck, and face. The vagus nerve has many branches that serve the internal organs of the body. There are 31 pairs of spinal nerves that leave the spinal cord. All spinal nerves are mixed nerves. So remember that. Spinal nerves, all of them are mixed nerves. And the spinal nerves leave the spinal cord and serve a specific region of the body. We divide the PNS into these two systems, the somatic nervous system and the autonomic nervous system. The somatic nervous system carries impulses to and from the CNS, to the musculoskeletal system and exterior sense organs, for example, your skin. The somatic nervous system generally works by sensory nerves receiving stimuli from the muscles or your skin, and it sends impulses to the CNS. Your central nervous system processes the stimuli, and then motor nerves carry the impulses back to the muscles for motor output. So, for example, let's say you put your hand near a hot stove. The parts of your skin, the sensory nerves, receive information. They feel your skin heating up because your hand's by a hot stove. That is the stimuli. So it receives stimuli from the muscles or your skin, and then it sends that information to the CNS. Your sensory nerves are like, hey, the hand's near a hot stove. What should we do? The CNS processes that stimuli, and then the CNS decides to send motor nerves carrying the impulse to the muscles to move your hand away because it's too hot. So you put your hand over a hot stove, sensory nerves tell your CNS that it's getting hot. So your CNS tells the motor nerves to tell your muscles to move your hand away. Simple example, but it makes sense if you think of it like that. And the somatic nervous system is also responsible for reflexes. And that kind of ties into what we were talking about. If you've ever reflexed away from something even without you really thinking about it, if you get scared or if you burn yourself and your hand immediately flies away from the thing, even though you're not thinking about it consciously, your body is reflexing. They're automatic, involuntary responses to changes inside or outside of the body. Reflexes are reactions that do not receive input from the brain. Reflexes can be categorized as monosynaptic reflex arcs or polysynaptic reflex arcs. A monosynaptic reflex arc contains only a single synapse between the sensory neuron that receives the stimuli and the motor neuron that reacts. For example, blinking the eyes if something gets too close to them. So if you try to put your finger near your eye, your response is you want to close your eyes so that doesn't happen. If you wear contacts, maybe you're more likely to not react that way. But most people, if something gets near their eyes, they want to blink. A polysynaptic reflex arc contains at least one interneuron between the sensory neuron and motor neuron. And an example of that, upon touching a hot object, the individual withdraws his hand, jumps backwards, and looks startled and curses loudly. So there's more complex actions going on there instead of blinking. That's all that really means. So that's the somatic. We refer to that as the somatic nervous system. And then now we are talking about the autonomic nervous system. It carries impulses to and from the rest of the body. For example, your heart, digestive system, and glands. The autonomic nervous system regulates processes that you have no conscious control over. And for example, digestion, breathing, dilation and contraction of blood vessels, sweating, functioning of other internal organs. So if you sit here and try to digest your food, you have no control over that. Breathing, you can change how fast and quickly you're breathing, but mostly that's your body doing that on its own. When you're sleeping, you're not consciously breathing. And you can't open and close your blood vessels, etc. The autonomic nervous system has two divisions, sympathetic and parasympathetic. The sympathetic system activates the fight or flight response, if you've ever heard of that before. This prepares the body to fight off a stressor or to flee from the stressor. So that's when adrenaline kicks in and you're on high alert. Stress triggers the sympathetic system, and then fight or flight response results in increased heart rate, increased breathing rate, increased sweating, tense muscles, adrenaline and other stress hormones are released. Non-vital systems are inhibited, such as the digestive system and reproductive systems. The parasympathetic system restores the body after times of stress. Some refer to this as the breed and feed or rest and digest response. The parasympathetic system aids in maintaining a normal and relaxed state. The peripheral nervous system includes 12 pairs of cranial nerves and 31 pairs of spinal nerves. The peripheral nervous system is divided into the somatic nervous system and the autonomic nervous system. And the autonomic nervous system itself has two divisions: sympathetic, which prepares the body to take action; parasympathetic system, which relaxes and calms the body. And that's it for the peripheral nervous system. Hopefully you learned a little bit of extra knowledge. And if you have any questions or you're confused about the PNS versus the CNS, be sure to email me, message me in Canvas, and I will help you out as soon as possible. But until next time, have a great rest of your day, and I will see you later. Bye-bye.